Elton here, talking about Moringa again. In this little video, I'm just going to show you exactly how I like to take it. I've got some nice yogurt here from our local supermarket, and I've got the retail packet here. But because I'm a farmer, I like to keep it economical, and I don't like to create too much waste, so I always keep my own large bag supplies on the house. So this one has been lasting me. I've had this for about 2-3 months now, and I'm taking it throughout the pandemic, and I'm taking it throughout the rest of my life. I've been researching this for over 10 years now, and quite honestly, this is still one of the biggest passions of my life, is to be able to present this to you guys, and trying to do some more media to really get exposure out there so that you start to incorporate this into your diet as well and experience the benefits. I think everyone in the world deserves to know, and also to have access to products like this. So we're advancing our company as fast as possible and getting it out there. Now, a lot of people mistake how much you're supposed to take. So we say you take 1 spoonful, we say 1 teaspoonful, okay? Our Moringa powder is processed indoors, which means it retains most of the phytonutrients as opposed to people who dry it outdoors. So a lot of farming companies out there, they cut corners and they save a lot of costs by growing it outdoors and or growing it in drying it outdoors and drying it in greenhouses where it is getting UV light and it's getting light exposure. So our powder actually comes across as a very, very strong powder because it's retained all of the chlorophyll and those chemicals in there, the phytochemicals in there, which are very famous for blood cleansing, are in there, and that's what gives it that really powerful taste. I liken it to grass cuttings myself. It's very, very, very powerful. And so we just need a very small amount. So this is a huge spoon. I'm just going to stick it down in here and get some out. I'll get out just the right amount here, just to show you what a daily dose is like. Move that out of the way. So this is more than enough here. Okay, that's about a teaspoon, a little bit less than a teaspoon there. All right, so I'm going to put that in my glass. Done. This is the easiest recipe. A lot of people, the first thing they ask is, can I put it in with water? Yeah, you can put it in with water. But it's like drinking grass. It's not exactly the most flavorful thing. So I'm just going to put a little bit of yogurt in there. Doesn't have to be too much. And I'm going to stir that up. Scoop it off the bottom. Mix, mix, mix. And voila. You now have your daily dose of Moringa, plus all the goodness of this yogurt. All right, this is a locally manufactured yogurt, so we're eating local food. You don't even taste the Moringa. Any flavor you're getting from the Moringa is reduced by like tenfold when you put it in with yogurt. So we always say, eat it with something savory. Eat it with something sweet, okay? You can put it in water and take it like a wheatgrass shot. If you're tough, it's like, woo, But it's much easier to just sprinkle it on your food. I mix it with pasta. You can put it in with your beans if you're doing like a G-nut sauce or some sort of a Thai dish or a spicy Asian dish or whatever type of food you're having. Put it in your lasagna, put it in your pizza sauce. Literally, you can put Moringa in just about anything. And we encourage people not to cook it. So put it in when the food comes out of the oven, or put it in when the food is off the fire, so to speak. And then you're going to retain all those like powerful vitamins and minerals, which otherwise can be degraded a little bit from heat. Okay, so you're getting more bang for your buck, so to speak. And so this is how I do my Moringa. I've overcome COVID twice. First time it came around, I had a really bad sort of chest issues at night. It was keeping me up at night. I wasn't impacted too badly, except for the fact that it just lingered for about a month. And then the second time I got COVID, I lost my sense of smell, and that was the only symptom that I had. So my immune system is naturally quite strong, and as your immune system and the way your body functions is based on the nutrition that you have, based on the food that you have, as well as other factors. But in this instance, when we're talking about good nutrition, it's easy to jump to the conclusion that if you have very good nutrition, then ultimately your health and your immune system is also going to be improved. And so this is why we're encouraging people to incorporate things like moringa. If you can't find moringa in your local area, look for it. There's more and more companies selling it every day. It's a growing industry. It's growing because people are getting advantages from this. This has and gives results. I've been selling this now for over 2.5, 3 years here, and we are seeing miraculous things. And just talking about Uganda as a country, it's a very tropical country. There's a lot of diseases here. It's gone through a lot of different pandemics in the past, which it's managed to handle. And quite honestly, what we've noticed in Uganda is people know about moringa, but the thing is people don't know all that much about moringa. And that's why you're going to start to see from my videos more and more and more information, okay, about how to take it, but also what are the chemicals in here that are actually giving us these incredible benefits, and why is it called the miracle tree? In my own personal way, I've seen a lot of reasons why it's called the miracle tree, because of the way it impacts people's lives, particularly people who are suffering with various different ailments and diseases. If it doesn't cure their disease, it reduces it to a point where it's more livable, improving their quality of life. And that's a really big deal. If you're living with pain, if you're living with back pain, if you're living with any sort of like majorly discomforting issue with your body, regardless of what it is, I can honestly say right now that I've never seen a single disease that this doesn't at least help that person to manage that disease, okay? I mean, we have seen some really truly miraculous things, and I don't want to go too deep into that in this video, because there is some information here that I wanted to show you, which is very unique. About Uganda in particular, and I want to talk about ulcers. Okay, so and the yogurt mixture here is great for people who have ulcers. You know that if you take yogurt, I wouldn't do the flavored one. Here I have strawberry. Okay, but if you're suffering from ulcers, get yourself the plain yogurt. Okay, it has very good beneficial bacteria in there. It's going to coat your stomach. It's going to calm down the acids and those effects that they're going to be having on those wounds, which are caused predominantly by the pylori bacteria. Okay, it's also stress related. Not going to go too deep into why ulcers exist, because again, this is the world of medicine and I'm not a doctor. But what I do know is that I've suffered with ulcer-like symptoms before, and when I started taking moringa, that all went away. Excuse me, I'm going to have to cough. A little morning cough there. And essentially, what we found, we started selling about 2 years ago in Uganda. And every single one of our customers who claimed that they had ulcers come back to us and they say, my ulcers are gone after 1 week. Every single one of them. There was only one person who had ulcers, started taking the moringa, and about 2 weeks later I bumped into him again and I said, hey man, how's your ulcers? Because I'm very curious. I started seeing a trend. And he said, you know, it's reduced. You know, I'm managing it, but still some days I get this pain, I get this frustration in my stomach. Now, there's an interesting thing here, is that not everybody has ulcers who would say, I have ulcers. People say, I have ulcers. So we did a study, and we found out that roughly around 60% of people who did this study, randomized study, totally random, just bumping into people and saying, would you be willing to take a study? Roughly about 60% of them said they believed they have ulcers in Uganda. Now, I went on to Google Trends. Google Trends is the search engine data collection center for Google. So what are people searching where in the world over time? Type in the word ulcers, make it a worldwide search, and lo and behold, check this out, Uganda's #1. Now that to me was insane. I was like, oh my gosh, we're actually in the, ulcer concerned capital. So that doesn't mean Uganda has more ulcers than anywhere in the world, but it's a very strong piece of evidence, which begs the question of whether or not it could be the most ulcer-rich place in the world. And so, if you were to be placing bets on, which country has more ulcers per capita in the world, you would probably place your bets on Uganda. Particularly when you look at this data, it's usually 100 on the Google Trends scale, and the next one down is like around 80 here. And it fluctuates. Sometimes other countries search ulcers more. But you can see this whole band here in East Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, where you have pretty much the dominant top, within the top 7 or 8 here countries. It's all Africa, all these African countries here. So what is this? You know, we could go and we could research this. I'm sure there's I'm sure there's doctors out there who study this type of thing, and like, you know, the geospatial distribution of diseases or whatever. But the point is, I've seen at least 30 people who've had ulcers buy Ventry Life Moringa powder, consume 1 teaspoon a day, and every single one of them, except for that one guy that I told you about, has told us, anecdotal research, they've told us that their ulcers are gone. Okay? And I'm gonna bring a young woman on here, the next part of this video. Her name is Kelly. She's my stepsister. And when we first started, you know, more or less living together, I learned that she had very bad stomach problems. Okay, she couldn't eat a lot of foods. She was always in pain. You can always look over and you can see her kind of like wincing, and you're like, "Are you okay?" And no, because she's suffering from really severe stomach problems. So I'm going to let her speak for herself, which is just one more testimonial. But it's it's just another example of how Moringa, it has the ability to improve your body's own ability to function better. Okay, the digestive system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, your bone health, your nervous system, okay, and also your epidermis, your skin, which is a giant, it's your biggest organ. All of these systems are being improved and enhanced and provided for. Okay, picture Moringa. It's got 92 vitamins and minerals in it, okay, in very high quantities in some cases, micro quantities for the micronutrients, but again, we only need very small amounts of these micronutrients, things like the amino acid profile. This is like a 5-course meal for your DNA, okay? Your DNA, which has thousands of different means through which it's creating the cells in your body. It needs raw material. It needs nutrients like what Moringa has and like what your food gives you, okay? By adding and sprinkling this onto your food, you're basically taking, like, for example, my classic example is like noodles. Instant noodles, you know, they're pretty much nutritionally void. There's some salt and some spices that go into the soup mix. When you sprinkle a spoonful of this on your instant noodles, you're taking that from a 1-star dish to like a 3-star dish. Okay? And then the same with your pasta, and the same with your salad, the same with your whatever it is that you're going to incorporate Moringa with. So take it with food and improve the quality of your diet, and then experience the benefits for yourself, because the benefits are hundreds. We're not just talking about 1 or 2 specific diseases here. When you research Moringa, you start to realize all these cultures that have been using it for thousands of years, particularly in the Indian and the Asian regions there. They claim it cures and handles and manages over 250 diseases. So we're talking about a really truly powerful product. And I think the reason why they say it's the miracle tree is because so many people are seeing it cure diseases, but we don't have the scientific data. We don't have the scientific rigor. It costs tens of thousands of millions of dollars even to do human trials and to do pharmaceutical level research to prove what is going on. So you can go and you can find all these claims that it may this and it may that and it may do this and it may do that, and it's based on smaller studies that have been done, similar to looking at Google Trends and realizing that, you know, Uganda's #1 for the word ulcers, for searching the word ulcers, which leads you to think that it may actually help cure cancer. It may actually help manage HIV, because in those studies, people are reporting that their cancer is being mitigated and that the HIV is being mitigated, but it doesn't prove it. And this is a very important thing for us to understand. As a community of people who are now, I'm talking about humanity, okay, globally, as a community of people who are now really looking into the natural world, the natural kingdoms of plant-based medicine, we need to do this research. We need to finance this type of stuff. And that's what's going on here in Uganda, is we are doing this research. There's people like Jagoda Novak from Poland, who's been here for over 20 years researching these types of chemicals, these types of plants. And she's coming out with amazing peer-reviewed research, which is actually proving some of these claims that will eventually get on here. So my theory is, and this is, I'm just putting this out there, my theory is that right now Moringa is called the miracle tree, and you can't put any FDA claims on here because that would be irresponsible, because that's how we protect consumers, to make sure that there is true double-blind studies, etc., done, which cost tens of thousands and millions of dollars. But my theory is that as the global herbal industry goes up and up and up in value, which they're expecting it to reach $550 billion by 2030, my theory is eventually Moringa is going to have a dozen health claims, because that research will be done. And that's something that Ventry Life is going to be pushing for with various different partners. So if you're out there and you're watching this video and you have connections to pharmaceutical companies that are saying, hey, we should also get involved in the herbal medicines industry and the plant-based medicines industry, reach out to us. We're here. We're in Uganda. We have the raw materials. We have willing participants, and we can do these trials. We can conduct these studies. Okay, but that's my belief. I believe eventually Moringa is going to have dozens of claims that are backed up by peer-reviewed, double-blind studies that actually prove what these phytochemicals are capable of doing in those studies. So one that I'd like you to do, and I always tell people, if you have a question about Moringa, if I don't have enough time to talk to you about it, I encourage you, go to Google and type in Moringa and. So if you have a question about Moringa and joint pain, Moringa and eyesight, the most common one I get, especially from people in the city, is weight loss. They say, well, I want to improve my shape, Moringa and weight loss. My gosh, that's like one of the main reasons why Moringa is being sold, because it manages your metabolic processes. It helps you improve your digestion. It helps you improve the nutritional uptake of the foods that you eat, so you don't get hunger cravings, etc., etc., etc. Moringa and hair growth. I've got a young woman who just recently texted me, because I'm getting a lot of feedback from my clients now, and as I'm expanding my client base, I want you to give me your feedback, and I'm going to keep making videos like this for my client base. She puts Moringa in her hair with coconut oil, and she puts a nightcap on, and she sleeps with it in her hair. She claims that after a week, her hair started growing like crazy. She said it's just within a week and a half. Her hair is now growing faster than she's ever experienced before, and it's full, voluptuous hair, growth. So type in Moringa and hair growth. But for the purposes of you guys out there who are watching this video, because it's entitled with ulcers, type in Google Moringa and ulcers. Okay, there is a study out of India that talks about the actual effect against pylori bacteria. I believe it was a rat or mice-based study. And it'll also talk about the reparatory effects, okay? The cellular regeneration effect that takes place when your body has access to the micronutrients that Moringa is providing you. It apparently speeds up your ability to regenerate new cells, which is repairing the ulcer, okay? Which is a hole in your stomach lining or a wound on your stomach lining. So it's attacking the pylori bacteria by way of the action that will be described in that doc, and it's also repairing the cell wall. And you can try it out for yourself. If you're suffering from ulcers or any type of gastrointestinal problems, try it out for yourself. This is affordable. You can find it in a lot of pharmacies around Kampala now. I'm going to be going back and restocking the Jumia warehouse today, and we're going to do a full frontal assault on this whole online media thing for Moringa, okay? Because this is a true blue hero of a plant, and I hope you get it in your diet, and I hope you take it every day. This should be a household name across Africa. This should be a household name across the world. Not my brand necessarily. That's not what we're focused on. The plant, the Moringa. As a company, we genuinely care about your health. That's what we're doing, okay? If you buy our brand, I'm very happy for that, and I thank you so much. Tell your friends, and let's heal people. Let's heal the planet. Let's actually improve people's health to a point that they have a better starting point when they do get infections. You have a better, stronger immune system when these diseases around us do get in. So instead of meeting an army which is lacking food and has been overworked, I'm talking about your white blood cells and your immune system, they meet an army that is fully armed to the teeth, okay, and ready to go. Air superiority, okay? Satellites with lasers and sharks with lasers on them, okay? Bacteria and viruses come into your body and they find that you've been eating moringa. Pack your bags. Get out of here. All right, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it.